So Esther's been listening to us. Every time we get on a new rant about something, Esther believes us because she's never found a shred of evidence to the contrary of anything that we've ever said. So she digs into the process that we recommend and finds the manifestational results. So recently, she's been noticing conditions that are not pleasing. Some conditions that are mildly annoying. Some conditions that are enormously annoying. Some conditions that are unspeakably uncomfortable in the world. There are things that you don't want to be going on. So when she finds herself, for whatever reason, giving her attention to one of those conditions, and she takes the emotional hit of it, she can feel that the opinion of her inner being and the opinion of her, that the opinion of Abraham and the opinion of her are very different opinions, because she can feel the discord, the negative emotion, the tug of war. So she's been sitting with her book and writing the condition, the unwanted condition. This is what's going on, and I sure would feel better if that condition did not exist. And then she acknowledges, but it does exist. It's not my job or my capability. It's not my work. It's not for me to do to change the condition. It just exists. It's also not my work to accept the condition. It is a condition. It's a condition. And then she writes, it's been very helpful for her, if this condition could change to one I prefer, I would feel like this. And then she begins writing some of the emotions that she would feel. I would feel freer, she usually writes. I would feel better. I would feel happier. I would feel better. And then she sits and writes those emotional words, because after all, isn't everything you want, whether it's a material object, a state of being, a pile of money, isn't everything that you want it because you think you would feel better if you had it? So sometimes she'll write a page or two or three or four emotional words. She repeats herself over and over again. She writes the word fun a lot. It would be more fun. Be more fun. I'd feel more clear. I would feel more proud. I would feel more sure. I would feel love. I would feel better. I would feel so good. I would feel exhilarated. I would feel lighthearted. I'd feel that being on vacation feeling. I would feel ease. I would feel sure. I would feel loved. I would feel love. I would feel loved. I would feel loved. I would feel loved. I would feel blessed. I would feel so happy. I would feel glad. And she just writes that and writes that and writes that and writes that and writes that. Before she knows it, she feels those ways because she has distracted herself from the condition, and now she is experiencing unconditional alignment. Are you following? It sounds so simple, it sounds silly. But if you want to feel happy, you've got to figure out how to withdraw your attention from conditions that you cannot change. And even before that, it would be very helpful if you would accept that you cannot change any condition other than the way you feel. So the other day, Esther's been listening to us talking about this. We've been talking about it quite a bit. And she's determined because she so wants to feel good. So she was sitting in Texas in a chair in her living room that looks out across the pool. And she was in such a heightened state of well-being that as she looked out there and saw the crane statues, they're just magnificent, and the beautiful oak trees that are right there, right on the other side of her pool. And the pool itself and all of its engineering and beauty and sound, as she looked around, and then the red bird that stood on the point of a tip of a tree and just looked at her. And as Esther is looking at all of this, she is feeling, she's reaching for words to describe to you. You sort of have to kind of be there, but rapturous, elation, unspeakable well-being, indefinable well-being, all the well-being of the world being experienced by her right now. It's a feeling of feeling blessed and loved. And as she sat there, basking in this moment in time and loving the idea of it lasting forever and ever and ever and ever and ever, it started fading as she focused a little laxly. And then she said, "Aha, Abraham, I've caught you in a inconsistency here because these are conditions that I am focused upon and I feel good. So don't talk to me about unconditional love, because these are conditions and I love them. And we said, here's the difference. You were in that state of love before you realized the depth of the beauty of these conditions. You weren't using these conditions to conjure the feeling of love. You were there and then you realized them. It's the horse before the cart thing, isn't it? In other words, feels like nitpicking. It feels like splitting hairs. It feels like something that we are making more simplistic than you want it to be. But it is that easy. You just have to decide that you want to feel good and stop thinking about things that keep you from feeling good. You're like a cork that bobs on the surface, and that's what feeling good is. You can hold that cork under the water, but when you let go, it's going to bob back up. And this is the thing that we want you to realize about yourself and others. And most of you don't realize it about yourself and others. Happiness is your natural state and would be your state if you weren't thinking thoughts that introduce contradictory energy that keep you from being where the source within you is. That is your natural state. And if you are not happy in any moment, something is out of whack and it's you. But for you, often, you don't stand in an unconditional place. You come into a situation and sometimes you respond to the condition of where you are. When the gang gathered last night, getting this room ready for you, the air wall was up here, and there wasn't room for all of you and all of this. And the contract that they'd signed clearly stated that there were to be 400, but a lot of you made the decision at the last minute. Did you notice? Over 100 of you made the decision at the last minute. And so here's the condition. What we planned for and those who are coming are a very different number. So the condition clearly was not pleasing. Now, everyone knows that it's possible to squeeze you all in. Now you look at it, though, it doesn't really look as possible as it looked last night, did it? There is this square dance area up here that could have been utilized, but for the most part, the room was not big enough. It had not been planned to be big enough because you were underestimated in your enthusiasm for this gathering. So there was a condition that had to be reconciled, and it had to be reconciled at the last minute. There wasn't time to go sit by the beach and think pleasant thoughts about the dolphins. And Esther is thinking, Abraham's going to talk all day long about unconditional love. I know they are. And here we are in a condition that we do not love. And we cannot take our attention away from the condition because we are up against it. And that's what happens to you sometimes, isn't it? Is that you walk into a situation that is the result of the momentum that has been moving along. And now you're standing there in the middle of it. And if you are like most humans, you respond to the condition. But here's the thing that matters most. What do you do next? Someone said the other day, Abraham, how does one? She meant, how do I? But how does one? I have a friend. How does one get rid of doubt? And we said, you get rid of it before you get it, which is totally annoying. Because once you've got it, Abraham, you squirrely ghost. How do you get rid of doubt? Well, doubt is the way you feel when you're focused upon something and have been for a while that you believe that is contrary to who you really are and what you really want. All negative emotion means exactly that. Your life has caused you to expand into a new vibrational becoming. How do those words set with you? Do you like knowing that you are constantly becoming something that is more? But the tricky thing about that is, since you are constantly becoming something that is more, you've got to vibrationally figure out how to vibrationally keep up with what you have vibrationally become. Did we mention that you're vibrational? In other words, you cannot expand as life will constantly cause you to do and not keep up with your own expansion and feel good at the same time. So you have to care about the way you feel. That's the way you keep up with your expansion. But caring about the way you feel means doing something about the way you feel regardless of the condition. And that's where the term unconditional love comes in. Humans have been using the phrase for a very long time, and hardly any of you really understand what it means. You think unconditional love means look at some rascal who is really behaving in a bad way and just don't say anything about it. Don't rat him out. Don't talk to somebody else about him. Don't get him fired. Just love him unconditionally as you despise his behavior and most other things about him. And we say, that's maybe what you might call tolerance. In other words, you're putting up with it. You're not freaking out about it, but it is not unconditional, because this condition that you are focused upon is an opinion that differs from the opinion that the source within you holds about it, because the source within you is holding an unconditional point of view. Well, before this day is over, you're going to understand completely why we from source are able to hold things from an unconditional viewpoint. We'll give you a statement that you may be ready to receive, and then we'll fill in the gaps as we continue over the next few hours. But the reason that we are able to focus upon any situation unconditionally is because the current conditions, or the what isness of whatever it isness, doesn't mean diddly squatness. In other words, what is doesn't matter, because what is only a temporary reflection of the vibration that you got going on. So we want to explain to you what we mean. You were source energy before you came into this physical body. And a part of you is focused here in this physical body, but a larger part of you is still non-physically focused. You are source energy, and a part of that source energy is focused here and now. So in your human form, you sift through, you know what you don't want, you know what you do want. You continue to sift through the data, and you constantly, whether you know you are doing it or not, are launching rockets of desire. We call them rockets of desire. They're your personal preferences. When someone's rude, you want them to be nicer. When you're rude, you want to be nicer. When you don't have enough money, you want more money. In other words, life just causes you to sift and sort and launch these rockets. So this vibrational becoming is happening constantly. And it is a vibrational becoming. Now, it hasn't manifested yet, therefore it's unconditional. You see what we're getting at? It hasn't manifested into conditions for you to observe. It hasn't manifested into a condition that is unpleasant or into a condition that is pleasant. It's a vibrational rocket of desire that has created. If you've been listening to us for a while, you've seen all of our creative ways of trying to explain to you this stuff that is not physical into this, what we've been calling a vibrational reality. We even gave it the name of a vortex. It's this vibrational state of being that is the precursor to everything else that is coming for you. So this vibrational state of being, which is where your inner being stands, it's where we stand, it's who you really are, has not yet manifested. It has become in terms of an idea. It has become in terms of a hope or a dream. There's enough in your vortex to keep you busy for 20 or 30 lifetimes. In other words, it is the beginning of that which you are. And you know that vortex existed before you were even born into your physical body, because there was a projection of intention from non-physical. There was a vibrational reality that had so much to do about you before you were even born into this physical body. Do you see what we're getting at? This vibrational precursor of that which is you. It was like the vibrational plan. It was like the vibrational probability. It's the vibrational reality. So now you're here in your physical body. You are adding to this vibrational reality. The question that we want to help you ask and answer for yourself is, how much of a vibrational gap is there between the things that life has caused me to ask for and the things that I believe, the things that I practice in my thought? And you can tell, two ways you can tell. One is by the way you feel. If you're joyful, there's no gap. If you're feeling appreciation,